The real victim of the Israeli attack was Abu Mazen. Many Palestinians loyal to Yasser Arafat blamed him for not restraining the Israelis. The Israelis blamed him for not reining in the militants. And the Americans were realizing that their show of support for Abu Mazen was backfiring.
I said, hey, we ought to have a little disdain for him, and he can sort of build up his image in front of his people. We might be hugging him too close, causing Arafat to be somewhat jealous, and certainly not to turn over the reins regarding the security forces, and leaving Abu Mazen to be the one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
The Palestinian Prime Minister had had enough.
فطلعت أنا بالخلاصة إنه في أمريكا ما أعطتني شيء، أعطونا كلام وحضنونا مثل يعني حضن الدب. الإسرائيلي لم يقدم شيء إطلاقاً، وجماعتنا عم بيهاجموني. وذهبت يوم الجمعة إلى مكتبي وكتبت الاستقالة ولم أبلغ أحداً عنها. الاستقالة أعطيتها لياسر عبد ربه وقلت له وصلها لأبو عمار.
أخذت الكتاب وعندما دخلت على ياسر عرفات وأغاني يعني لا يوجد شيء، لكنه كان سعيدا باستقالة أبو مازن.
Arafat went through the motions of appointing a new prime minister, but it was plain who was still in charge. Neither of them received any invitations to the White House. The roadmap was shelved. When the news reached Ariel Sharon, he decided this was the moment to seize the initiative.
אני פשוט ראיתי שאין לנו שותף לשיחות. באותו זמן אבו מאזן כבר נושל בעצם מכל סמכויותיו, הוא לא הצליח לבצע שום פעילות בגלל לחציו של ערפאת.
2 months later, Sharon startled the world.
אני רוצה לנצל את ההזדמנות הזו לפנות אל הפלסטינים. אין לנו עניין לשלוט בכם. ישראל לא תישאר בכל המקומות בהם אנו נמצאים היום. טוב, זה לא דבר שהתקבל אצלי בקלות. הייתה החלטה מאוד קשה, אולי אחת ההחלטות הכי קשות שהייתי צריך לקבל.
He announced that he would give back the Gaza Strip to the Palestinians, forcing 8,000 Israeli settlers from their homes. But this concession was calculated to secure a greater gain.
במקביל, במסגרת תוכנית ההתנתקות, ישראל תחזק את שליטתה באותם חלקי ארץ ישראל שיהוו חלק בלתי נפרד ממדינת ישראל בכל הסדר עתידי.
Sharon had his eye on chunks of the West Bank, where more than 200,000 Israelis lived in settlements on occupied land around Jerusalem. He gambled that if he gave back the Gaza Strip to the Palestinians, the Americans might reward him by endorsing his plan to make Israel's settlements in the West Bank permanent. He contacted the White House.
ושם נאמר בצורה מאוד ברורה שמאז מלחמת ששת הימים חלו שינויים דמוגרפיים רציניים ביהודה ושומרון, ולכן אזורים שבהם ישנה אוכלוסייה יהודית גדולה, היה ברור שהם יהיו חלק ממדינת ישראל.
I knew, and Dr. Rice knew, and the President knew, that this would be a very, very tough sell in the Arab world.
In Arab eyes, if the Americans allowed Israel to change the border to take in settlements in the West Bank, they would be legitimizing the 1967 occupation of Arab land. When Israel took that land, many Palestinians had fled to neighboring Arab states like Jordan. Sharon now wanted President Bush to make a statement ruling out their right to return to Israel.
I said to him, you're touching two third rails, electric rails. One, right of return, and second, the line. And for the President of the United States to say something about them in a way that was not going to be received kindly in the Arab world was going to create one heck of a ruckus.
It was a ruckus the President and Dr. Rice were willing to live with. They told SHARON he'd get what he wanted, but the State Department had to pick up the pieces. Secretary Powell called the Jordanian foreign minister and warned him what was coming.
I said, Colin, this is very dangerous. This is something that will be taken very, very negatively in the Arab world.
I told him, while you are expressing your exasperation over this, look what you got. Settlements are going to be removed for the first time, something you've wanted all along.
I said, look, you are foreclosing the option on the right of return to Israel at all. I said, no Arab state is going to accept this. Why can't we say the right of return will be exercised predominantly in the state of Palestine instead of exclusively?
The Secretary of